Hello and welcome to the Becker Private Equity and the Becker Business Podcast. My name is Chanel Bunger, and today I'm excited to speak with regular guest Liz Hutson, founder and principal consultant at EGH LLC, who joins the podcast today to discuss the topic of who's on first. Liz, thank you as always for joining me. Could you get us started out by giving a brief introduction for listeners that may not be acquainted with you yet?
Yeah, absolutely, Chanel. Thank you. Great to talk with you. And yes, I am the founder and the principal consultant of EGH. And we are an organization, a consulting firm that focuses on healthcare products and services. And we primarily are in the private equity space.
Thank you so much. And I'll let you take it away and give us an overview on the topic that we're speaking on today.
You got it. Chanel, a lot of times we talk about strategy and planning. You and I have had many conversations on this. What needs to get done? What are our priorities? What does a timeline look like? But oftentimes, and especially of late, as I've been working on some projects, I notice teams who overlook who's the who, right? Who's on first on this? Who actually needs to do what? And importantly, who doesn't need to do what? And I think a lot of times a team has a great strategy, they have a great plan, but if we're not clear on the roles and responsibilities or the who's on first, things start to fall through the cracks. And what happens is people are doing duplicate work, and sometimes they're stepping on each other's toes or they're not getting the thing done. So I want to talk about two things that I focus on with teams when I'm working with them on the who for a particular project or program.
Absolutely. And as I understand, you have a tool that you prefer to use. Can you speak to that a bit?
Absolutely. The RACI tool, that's our first focus that we work on. So RACI stands for R, responsible, A, accountable, C, consulted, and I, informed. And let me break that down a little bit further. So we'll do this a little out of order, actually. I want to focus on the accountable person first. So that's the second letter, the A in it. The accountable person is the one who ultimately owns the outcome of that particular task within the program. I always refer to it as the one throat to choke. Some people feel like that's aggressive, so they say the one nose to poke, that's fine. I'm a martial artist, so I go for the choke kind of analogy. So it's the one throat to choke. You can have a lot of people that are doing the work, but really for an accountable person, there should only be one person that's ultimately accountable to making sure that gets done. So if I need to check in and see where we at with that particular activity, I'm going to the accountable party. So that's the A. I'll jump back over to the first letter, which is the R, the responsible person or people. So you might have multiple people that are working on this. These are the ones that are actually doing the work, and they have some not necessarily formal reporting, but they're sharing back up to the accountable person who's in charge of the whole thing. So that's the R. The C is the consulted group. This is people that you're checking in with to get their advice or perhaps their approval. They're the ones that are consulted. And last is the I, the informed. So they don't necessarily have a role in doing the work, but they should absolutely know what's happening. I love the RACI tool because it's simple, it's really clear. And the RACI tool doesn't just tell you what's yours, but it also helps you understand what isn't yours. And that's really freeing. Because again, I think what oftentimes happens is we talk about a great plan, we talk about a great strategy, but if we don't get clear on the who and we don't have that RACI, two problems happen. One is no one does anything. So everybody thinks somebody else is doing it and nobody actually does it, and it falls through the cracks. And then the other problem, equally as painful, is everyone does everything. And that seems like it might be a good thing, but really that's not good because decisions oftentimes get duplicated or people are giving conflicting direction. And all of a sudden you've got three people solving something that really only one person needed to solve it. So the RACI, really simple tool, the RACI really helps create that clarity. So that's the first thing that I work on with teams to help them get the clarity on the who.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And now, did you want to bring us home with that second point?
Yeah. The second point, and I think this is one that isn't always a favorite for people. It certainly wasn't for me, but it's one that I've really come to embrace. And that's the idea of stay in your lane. again, it seems like uh, it's a closed-minded or very narrow in thinking. And I'm not saying, I don't mean don't help your teammates. I want there to be collaboration. That's really important. But oftentimes, what happens is when we think we're being helpful, we think we're jumping in to help somebody out with their work stream or their work. Oftentimes, we're neglecting our own work. We're neglecting our own responsibilities. You see somebody that's having a hard time, you jump in to take on their work and you feel good about it. You feel like you're being a team player, but all of a sudden your own work, the thing that you are actually accountable for, back to the RACI model, or sometimes responsible for, you're not getting those things because you're helping everybody else out. And you're not actually helping the team as much as you are because you neglected what you were supposed to do. So my philosophy on this, and it was a great mentor of mine that actually taught me this idea and really pushed on this idea of stay in your lane, is stay first and foremost, focus on what you're accountable for. Get your work done, get it done well. And then if you have capacity and it makes sense, that's when you step outside and help somebody else. And I think that's what healthy teamwork looks like. It's not everybody doing everything. That's actually not helpful. It's actually more when everybody knows what they're doing, i.e., via the RACI model, knowing what they're responsible for, knowing what they're accountable for, knowing where they need to collaborate, and knowing when they need to just get out of the way. And I think when we use those two tools, the RACI tool and staying in your lane, that's when we get really good clarity about roles and responsibilities. And that is so freeing for the team. You know what's yours, you know what's not yours. You can stop worrying about everything. You just focus on the things that are in your area of experience and expertise and focus. And you make decisions faster. You can hold each other accountable. And so I think that's where I work on with teams to really help them with the who on how to get things done.
I love it. Well, Liz, I want to thank you as always for your time today. But before I let you go, is there anything else that listeners should know?
No, just to sum it up, right? To make sure we might have a great plan, we might have a great strategy, and it all looks good on paper. But ultimately, until we've got the definition of who's going to actually make it happen, it just stays on paper. So we've got to have a really good eye and focus on and clarity around the who on this. And using the RACI and staying in your lane, I think will be a great way to get us there.
Absolutely. Well, Liz, I want to thank you once again for your time today and for sharing your insights on the Becker Business and Becker Private Equity podcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Janelle. Great to talk with you.